Good afternoon, Canes fans. Happy Sunday. I know everyone's watching their NFL football this afternoon, but wanted to give you a quick reaction to Miami basketball Canes hoops win over Coppin State this afternoon. It's going to be a quick show. Quite frankly, this is an 0-6 Coppin State team. Now, very tough to judge what Miami has here, but of course, this is the last of the, I would call it preseason games here for this Canes hoops team, as Miami in a few days here will be playing in the Charleston tournament, the 21st. So have Drake in the first round, a very good Drake team that has won their conference the last couple years. But again, just wanted to give you some of my thoughts. Was at the game today, as I am at all the home games there in Coral Gables at the Watsco Center. You see the virtual background behind me. Miami wins 93-63, moving to 3-0 on the year. Not a great second half in terms of the defense. Coppin State scoring 19 points in the first half, 44 in the second half there. So defensively, I'm sure Coach L would have wanted to clean some things up. But Miami gets a 30-point win. They were 37.5-point favorites going into this one, so they don't cover. But just looking at Coppin State's schedule, again, they were 0-6 heading into this one, but Wake Forest, a team that a lot of people projected or have projected to be, pretty high up in the ACC this year, only beat them by 15. UVA, obviously a lot of changes going on up there. They only beat this team by 17. You look at the other games, they got blown out by High Point. They got blown out by UMBC. So it's been a mixed bag from this Coppin State team, but Miami wins today by 30 points. Again, 93 points. This Canes team can shoot it. They can score the basketball for sure. And Craig, appreciate you hopping on here with the question right off the bat. Says, feeling pretty good about this team. Not sure about the defense, but the offense feels potent. Thoughts? I agree with that, man. I think defensively, it's so early in the season, and obviously you got to play team defense in the game of basketball. So you have so many new faces on this team that I think, look, you don't have much time to kind of get over that hump now, because you jump right into this real part of the schedule here as you look at Miami has this tournament coming up here where you have some really solid teams in there. But you also have, in a couple games here, you have Arkansas at home, of course, John Calipari and company coming to town, ACC SEC Challenge. Then you have your first ACC game of the season in Clemson, and then you go to Madison Square Garden after that to play against a top 10, top 15 team in Tennessee. So I'm not too worried about the defense just yet, because it is still so early in the season. But 1,000% this team is way more capable offensively, a lot more options than you had last season. So to me, that's the most encouraging thing. You just didn't have the guys last year. At the end of the day, in terms of the depth, when guys went down, you did not have other options to shoot the basketball. The shooting has been way, way better early on in the season here. And again, the competition you're playing has not been great. So it's very difficult to judge. We're going to learn a lot about this team in the coming weeks here, in the next month or so. But early signs are good here. And just going through the box score, going through the numbers, 6 Hurricanes in double digits today. So Brandon Johnson, Matthew Cleveland leading the way. Cleveland leading scorer with 15 points today. Brandon Johnson with 14 points. And just early on, I think those two are probably going to consistently be the leading scorers on this team. Matthew Cleveland, I mentioned it. I think his shooting is going to take a huge jump this year. He was 3 for 4 from 3-point range this year. Talking to some guys on the team at the media day a few weeks back before the season, they were all saying that Matthew Cleveland has really been shooting the ball at a high level in practice and in scrimmages and all that. And normally that stuff translates. Shooting, you don't, obviously scrimmages are scrimmages, but if you can shoot the ball, you can shoot the ball. So I think Matthew Cleveland going to have a big bounce back year. I think he got a bad rap last year, was hurt a lot last year. And I think now that he's fully healthy, ready to go, big season ahead for him. 15 points, 7 rebounds for him. Lynn Kidd chipping in with 12 points, 5 rebounds of his own. Jalen Blackman, 10 points, 2 for 4 from 3. He had 2 consecutive threes, on back-to-back possessions there. Nigel Pack, 9 assists today, right? So a lot of talk about him as a facilitator, really needing to be the engine for this offense in terms of getting things going. And look, with him, the athleticism, I think, has taken a huge jump this year. He had a drive to the hoop where he tried jamming on someone. He didn't make it, but the entire bench got up. They were very excited. They thought it was going to be a Sports Center top 10 moment, and obviously it didn't make it. But he did not try to attempt stuff like that, in the past. So I think Nigel Pack, Coach L said it when he was rehabbing the knee from last year, got a lot stronger in the lower half, and I think that's evident without a doubt. Craig says, agreed, depth is better for sure. Man, you go down the list here, and you look at, obviously we've talked about the starters a moment ago, but Austin Swartz played 12 minutes. He didn't score, but good to see him get in the mix. Jaleel Bethea, obviously the Miami's big recruit, 5-star. He scores 7 points in 15 minutes. I think, obviously he's a young guy, ton of potential offensively, and I think he's still getting his feet wet, right? You see the moments of, him being a freshman at times, but I think Coach L and this staff are going to continue to kind of be hard on him to make sure that he makes the right decisions out there and is battling defensively, keeping the ball moving. I think sometimes, since he's coming off the bench, gets a little antsy to shoot the ball, but he took a bad shot from deep when he first checked in the game in the first half. Coach L kind of snapped on him for a second there, but then when he came back in the second half, he was moving the ball, a lot more effectively. He still ends up hitting a couple threes in the game, drove the ball to the hoop nicely a couple times. But I'm going to keep saying it again and again and again. Divine Ugochukwu is the find of the year, maybe the best find that this Miami staff has had in terms of someone completely under the radar. Keshar and George last year was a great find for this staff, but he was a one-and-done guy, and he didn't really get things going until midway point of the season. Divine Ugochukwu is a guy who's going to be here for multiple years. 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists today. 4 for 5 from the free throw line, 4 for 4 from the field, and just a guy at the point guard position who really knows how to play the position at a high level from an intelligence standpoint. So composed, so calm. The pressure doesn't seem to get to him. The way he attacks, he had a really nice drive to the hoop, and his defender, was on him, but then the help defender comes and he feels that, hits a open man in the corner. I believe it was AJ Staten McRae, who also had a really nice game today. 11 points, 3 for 3 from 3-point range. So another guy who can shoot the ball at a high level, can defend as well. And he had started the first couple games of the season. Matthew Cleveland had been coming off the bench. Cleveland started this game. But really, overall, really nice signs from this team in terms of the bodies that you can throw at people. Paul Jobay, not his best effort offensively, 2 points, 1 for 5 from the field, but chips in with 4 rebounds. And he's a guy that Coach L has singled out as, probably after Lynn Kidd, the best rebounder on this team. So his minutes are, and Brandon Johnson obviously too. He had 8 rebounds, and love the way he attacks the basketball in the air. But Jobay is going to be, very big for this team throughout the season. But man, a very balanced effort today. And you got to really like what you're seeing early on from this Canes team. Brandon says deepest team we've had. Excited for the season. He says, I like AJ's game a lot. AJ Staten McRae, again, transfer from Samford, can defend, has length on the wing. You just have a lot of bodies who you can do a lot of different things with defensively that you have not had the last couple years. Again, we're not going to take anything away from these teams that went to the Elite Eight, that went to the Final Four for Miami under Coach L the last few years here. Obviously not last year, but you were 7 deep. You were really about 7, maybe 8 deep on those teams with guys you could really trust. And I think this team could stretch into like a 9-man rotation. Obviously, it'll, at a certain point, ACC play kind of condense a little bit, but a lot of guys who are capable on this team. Anthony Manzano asked, did we have any big-time recruits at this game? And our guy, Trenton Breeze, actually reported that there was, I believe his name is Josh Powell, 2026 recruit, 4-star. So he was at this game. And look, it's Coppin State, so I wouldn't have expected on a Sunday afternoon to be loaded with recruits. But Josh Powell, 2026 recruit, was at this game. Team defense still needs work. 908 Canes all day. I agree with that. Again, you have 9 new players on this team, so a lot of moving pieces, man. I mean, to expect them to be locked down defensively right off the bat, I don't think is realistic. Again, in the second half, it was not a great effort defensively, and Coppin State didn't really have much shooting ability either. So I didn't expect them to test Miami much. But that's something that you can take away for Coach O and his staff from this game and say, look, we have a lot to work on here. Manzano, I answered that there. Hey, Craig, man, I'm all over Divine Ugochukwu, man. I really can't believe how quickly he's asserted himself, man. And again, early in the season, can only take so much away from this stuff. But he's got the look. And when Coach L said a few weeks ago before the season that about a month before the season, they made the decision that they were not going to redshirt Divine Ugochukwu. They pretty much had it because he was a late addition to the staff. Apparently, Akeem Olajuwon was the one who kind of put the coaching staff onto him. But he was a late addition. I think they were kind of planning to redshirt him, develop him. But he's going to help this team this year defensively. As a ball handler, he's strong. He can get into the lane, and as a shooter, I think still developing. There's still some work to do there, but when he gets to the rim, he can finish. So I'm really excited about his potential, man. I think that was such a huge get for this staff. So I want to remind you guys that this post-game basketball show, as all of the post-game basketball shows is brought to you by Aries Law, AriesLawPA.com. As you see right here, Aries Law is a full-service law firm with a specialty in estate planning. In business for over 36 years, we have a team of legal professionals dedicated to guiding and protecting you. If you are someone's child, grandchild, sibling, and most importantly, someone's parent, you need an estate plan. We prepare trusts, wills, power of attorney, living wills, and all healthcare documents necessary to provide you the peace of mind you deserve. Schedule an appointment at no cost to you and see how we can protect your hard-earned assets. Plan your future so others don't. Aries Law. And guys, this is my dad. Go check out his website. Wills and trusts, very, very important, protecting your family for the future. You see his office here, not far from campus, heading towards Brickell there, 2103 Coral Way, Suite 800. So go check him out. Promise you guys you will not be disappointed in his work. Again, very important. Estate planning is a must. So just wrapping things up here, guys. Again, I told you I wasn't going to do a super long show here, but wanted to just give you guys my thoughts and get some of these comments in as well. I appreciate the support. I love seeing almost 400 on this show live right now. Everyone's excited about Canes football season, fighting for that ACC title. Hopefully finish the season off strong here, these last couple of regular season games, and get to the ACC championship. But I'm really excited for this basketball team, man. I think Coach L obviously was pretty upset about how last year went. Just seeing him on the sidelines looks re-energized, looks reinvigorated. And Shaboy Kane, I agree with you, man. If we, I believe if we stay healthy, we can make a run. It's very early in the season. It's tough to see how this team stacks up exactly. But I like the size inside with Brandon Johnson and Lynn Kidd. You have experience at the guard position in Nigel Pack, Jalen Blackman, a guy who was a top 15 scorer in the country last year, can really shoot the ball at a high level. Again, defensively, Pack and him together is still going to be the question that we'll see a lot now moving forward when you play some of these tougher teams with NBA type bodies at the guard position. But man, it's gonna be fun to watch this team. Glenn Giro just booked my flight for the Jimmy V game at MSG. About to find out how good this team is. Yeah, man, that's the game against Tennessee. Rick Barnes, head coach over there, and this is gonna be a fun one for sure. Those neutral site games kind of gets you ready for the feel of March, right? Playing in those big time atmospheres. And man, MSG, special place. I actually, when I was in school, got to call Miami in the NIT championship there and the semifinal game. So MSG is a special place, the Mecca when it comes to basketball. I don't think there's a better place for sure. Anthony Manzano said, when it comes to the type of defense you want us to play, do you want it to be purely isolation defense, man-to-man? I mean, look, I would expect them to mix it up a little bit in terms of zone and man. I think, again, the issue becomes when you play some of these bigger teams in terms of the backcourt, you're going to have a smaller Nigel Pack. You're going to have a smaller Jalen Blackman. Obviously, Jaleel Bethea, I think he continues to work himself in there and earn himself more minutes, and will be playing probably 20 minutes plus a game as we get into the thick of the season here. But even him, as good as he is, as talented as he is, I don't know if he's a lockdown defender at this point. So that's going to be the interesting thing to see. Shaboy Kane asking about Kyrie Huey. Any word on how long he's going to be out? Is a season-ending thing, or will he return later in the year? Coach L, he didn't really want to, when we've asked him about it, in the media, he just keeps, he said, look, he had surgery, so it's going to be a recovery process. It was a hand. I think it was a broken hand. So unless it was something crazy, I would expect to see him back hopefully by January, right? I mean, it's already been a month plus here that he had his injury. So I don't want to speculate on this sort of stuff, but I wouldn't expect that he's out for the season. I could be wrong. I wasn't in the surgery room. I'm not privy to the exact details of the injury. But for a broken hand, I would expect him to be back before the end of the season. Now, if it lingers and it goes a little bit later into the season, how do you work him in the rotation? Things are already kind of set at that point. That's going to be the interesting part. But it would be nice to have another big body in there to eat up some boards, play some defense, bring some energy. So yeah, man, I think he should be back, but again, that's pretty speculative on my part. I have not heard for sure. Anthony Manzano says, I think Schwartz and Bethea are the future backcourt, point guard and shooting guard. Listen, man, don't count out Divine Ugochukwu, man, as a guy to be in that mix, right? I mean, look, Jaleel Bethea, obviously we would like to have him for multiple years, and he hasn't shown enough at this point at the college level to say, well, he's a surefire top 5, top 10 pick. But I think a lot of people would have been pretty surprised after seeing Keyshawn George last year saying, man, there's no way he should be a one-and-done guy. Talent's talent. The NBA still drafts ceiling, and it's still so early in the season. I wouldn't expect Bethea to be here for more than a year. I'm just saying it right now. That's typically how this stuff goes. If he is, great, amazing. But I would say Divine Ugochukwu for sure is a guy who could end up being, if that shot keeps developing, man, I really think he could be one of the better players that's ever come through here. I am not kidding, man. He has that sort of feel for the game. For the football fans, reminds me a little bit about OJ Frederick's story, the way that he's come in and not as a highly heralded recruit, come out and seize that starting corner job and become the man. I'm not saying that Ugochukwu is going to be the starting point guard this year. It's going to be tough to supplant Nigel Pack, who I think is in for a big bounce back year. But to me, just keep an eye on him, man. I think he's hovering around 15 minutes a game now, and I think he's going to continue to earn himself more minutes there. Appreciate everyone who hopped on today. Drake is coming up in a few days here, the 21st at the tournament here. So excited to see what happens against them. Really solid ball club, a team that's won their conference the last couple seasons, gave Miami a tough battle a couple years ago in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Appreciate everyone for hopping on. As always, again, Aries Law PA, thank you for sponsoring. Go Canes.